I love stories like that,
Yeah.
right? Because, I mean, he's describing exactly what you wore. I could tell you what my wife wore the first time I saw her. Wow, we would have never believed it. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple, we're on Google. Go out there and listen to us. So we're excited about it. We're glad you're excited about it too.
Hey everyone, welcome to Lunch Break. I'm really excited to be here with a new friend, Henry Castaneda, old-time friend of Tom's. And we've had his wife, Shelly, on the show. She's been on actually Muscle Matters and Lunch Break.
I get a little jealous of her shorts too.
She's doing well.
Her shorts are doing well. So if you haven't checked out Shelly Castaneda on Lunch Break and Muscle Matters, you need to.
And both of them, Henry and Shelly, lived a life dedicated to the community through serving and different law enforcement aspects and other thins. But we're gonna dive into all of that and kind of bring Henry and bring his life out for you guys to see.
Yeah, we just want to unpack it. I've had the pleasure of knowing Henry for a lot of years through the Iron years. And
the Iron years.
Thank you, Henry, for.
Do we call him Iron Henry?
No, I think we're just some old iron heads.
We go back to the old strength and health.
Oh my gosh, that's a day.
I've worked out there.
You didn't work out there, because when there was there, it was a pit.
Well, they did have have your picture up in the.
No. It's very upscale right now. Now you know where I'm talking about, right, Henry?
It's definitely anything but upscale, but
it was. So hey, I can say this, Henry. I mean, I traveled, the United States and the world, and I didn't find very many other gyms that were comparable to it as far as atmosphere, the design of the equipment, because it was all handmade, Mike. It was all hand welded, and
are they still open?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are.
But that was a period of time when weightlifting wasn't a fad.
Yeah, I agree.
It was a passion.
Yeah.
No one was called a bodybuilder unless you were actually a competitor. So back in that little gym, no air conditioning, you had a cooler. Like you said, everything was handmade, welded. But in that gym, we had state champions, national champions powerlifting.
Tom worked out there.
And then, of course, we had Tom.
Yeah.
But, there was a lot of major competitors that came out of that little gym.
Yeah.
Henry, Danny, Bobby.
Did Steve work out there?
Steve Southers?
Yeah.
I think Steve was in diapers.
Steve Saunders?
No, Steve Southers.
Oh.
So there's a guy named Steve Saunders that we know very well, who had an amazing physique, who also worked in law enforcement.
So let's do Lunch Break, since we're doing Muscle Matters later with Henry. Okay. We're getting into Muscle Matters.
Thank you for keeping us on. Thank you for keeping us on track.
Well, you told me to do it.
Yeah, and I can depend on him to do that.
But it's fun. We like talking about that stuff, and I have to miss out on it, so I get a little bit of treat by talking about it.
Mike's been enjoying. He's been infected with iron poisoning. So he's been enjoying it. He's always, I've known Mike since he was 13 and played football for me. So Mike was an amazing linebacker, but he's always had a great physique. But now he's starting to hone in with a little more, and you're going to get to meet his trainer and slave driver. Can I say that?
Love Steve.
Or do we have to cut that?
We love Steve. No, you can call him a slave driver.
Okay, that makes you the slave. Okay. Our producer, Nathaniel, tweeted today, which we thank Nathaniel for being behind this set today. Nathaniel, I don't think you've been behind the camera for a lot of months, maybe a year.
We talked about this, and I was like, dude, you got to do this job and that. He's like, oh, this is easy. I used to do the hard version of this.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. So bring us up to where you're at now, and then reel it back a little bit for us to see how the younger Henry influenced the older Henry.
You're asking a lot there, Tom.
I am.
I'm an old guy.
Well,
so there's a lot of years to talk about. Yeah. But currently we are retired. Mm-hmm. I retired in 2007 out of the state, and my wife Shelly's retired now. So now we get to spend more time. We've always traveled, but we travel more except the pandemic stepped in, so that kind of slowed it. But God bless us with a home in Florida, so we go back and forth.
That's
and we
right.
spend a lot of time in St. Augustine, Florida.
Oh, I love
Where is St. Augustine?
St. Augustine is in the north, probably about an hour and a half from Georgia, actually.
So, okay. I have some good friends that are over in outside of Tampa area. So.
Oh, okay. Well, Tampa's on the Gulf side.
Right. So you guys are on the...
We're on the North Atlantic side.
Okay.
But unknown to many people, St. Augustine is the oldest town in this country.
Wow. Really?
It's older than Jamestown.
Wow.
So
is the Mayflower there?
It was before the Mayflower.
Okay.
Founded in 1565.
Wow.
And so at that place, you had the first schoolhouse, you had the first Spanish fort. In fact, we live a mile from Ponce de Leon's Fountain of Youth.
Really? That's why you and Shelley look so young.
Yeah. We haven't drank the water yet.
Man, this sounds really...
when it's really bad.
This sounds really cool.
It's a fascinating place. Actually, down the road from us also is this huge cross, and it's where the first Christian service in North America was ever held.
Wow. How cool is that?
So there's a lot of things that you don't find in history books, and you're walking around and you're just dropping jaw, So yeah.
There's more to find out about the country and our origins.
Well, we're used to California, but going back to Tennessee even, there's like so much more history back there.
Oh yeah. Well, because we went from east to west, right?
Yeah.
But of course, that was founded by the Spanish, and then there was the English, and then, it goes on and on and on. So much history. So anyway, we spent a lot of time there.
I love that.
And
51% of the time.
That doesn't apply. I tell you what, how it's rigged, and I use rigged. Even though we have a home over there and we live 6 months or 6 months in a day, that doesn't count. We can't even own a home here. We can't have anything here to avoid paying state taxes.
That's interesting.
And now our governor is trying to pass a law that even if you leave, you still got to pay California state tax.
I think eventually he's just going to pass a law where you have to give all of your money to him, and he's just going to dole it out to you.
Yeah.
And not to the state, to actually him.
Hey, Mike, that's for Friday.
Okay.
We have a show called Relevant Rants on Friday. So Michael starts.
If you haven't watched it, check it out.
This will be a relevant rant.
Yes, it will. We'll have to get Henry on Relevant Rants.
Cool.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my fault. I think I went off track there.
No. You're allowed to do that. You're our guest.
So that's currently, and we have 6 granddaughters.
Wow.
2 sons, and so
wow.
we won't say any more about that.
Wow.
That's a good sized family.
That's a great son.
Can somebody give me a boy?
No, you have to talk to different people.
I got an extra one if you want him.
Love my granddaughters to death. Love them. I love them absolutely. But so anyway, I was born in Hanford.
Okay, I didn't know.
But
that.
I was raised here in Bakersfield. In fact, a little funny fact. My mother crossed the border on September 10th, 1954. I was born September 17th, 1954.
Wow.
7 days.
The border? Which border?
Mexican border.
You made it all the way to Hanford?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Castaneda comes from tough stock.
Yeah, sounds like.
well, I can't even
that was
imagine.
my mom.
No, what I'm saying is your mom raised 3 boys, all type A personalities.
Okay.
And they all grew up in the same house.
Well, actually, there's 4 boys.
4?
Yeah,
Okay.
There's 4 of us.
Well, how did I miss the 4th?
Well, I don't think you ever met my oldest brother.
Okay.
That's probably why.
Okay. But still 4 boys. Now, if he was any cross between you, Danny, and Bobby, then, your mom was tough. She was a tough stock. I could see her making all the way to Hanford.
Well, 7 of us, so 3 girls. So, yeah, it was tough.
Oh, wow.
But we were raised here. In fact, I recall living where Highway 58 is now.
Okay.
Highway 58 did not come through where we lived. That was a way across. So we were growing up. Dad we saw 1 day a week because he was working out of town.
Hard worker.
Mom worked every day. Mom, and I've told my wife, she would leave in the morning, cook our breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and leave it all on the stove for 7 kids, and then go to work.
Wow.
In the packing sheds.
That kind of dedication.
I was going to guess in the packing sheds, yeah.
Yeah.
And work hard.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I mean, what I love about that, did you find, where were you at in that 7 children? The oldest?
3.
3? So she came over with some kids.
So older and brother were born in brother and sister were born in Mexico.
So can I get from this conversation that a lot of your hard work ethics through the years came from mom and dad?
Absolutely. Absolutely. My dad and I had many conversations, and he was always apologizing for not being able to raise us correctly. I told Dad, you taught us to work hard, you taught us to be honest. We grow up all speaking Spanish. I can recall clearly being in kindergarten, first grade, trying to ask a question, but I couldn't formulate it in English. It was in my head, but it was all in Spanish, and I couldn't. So yeah.
That's impressive right there, and getting to that point, because there again, my brother and I, my brother Tim, we were latchkey kids, and I know that wasn't good for either one of us the way we were raised, but like you said, we were raised with a mom and dad that had hard work ethics, and I think that got us through a lot.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So anyway, we grew up, and then I remember going to school and being chased because we didn't speak English, and all these things that people complain about. We've all lived it.
So where did you go to school?
When that was going on, I was. Let's see, where was I at? Well, I was in fact, it was not Potomac at that time. It was Colonel Baker.
Okay.
It doesn't exist anymore. It's the old school barn now.
Uh-huh.
So
on Union.
Yeah, and then I did spend a couple of years in a Catholic school. The nuns did beat you. That's not a lie. That's true.
Was that because the Castaneda maleness came out of you?
Yeah. Tom, and I'm glad you brought that up, because we were not raised one to be proud. We were not raised with confidence. We always had our heads down. We were just too busy just surviving amongst ourselves. We didn't know how to deal with the outside world. So if there was an issue, we couldn't go to mom or dad because they didn't even speak English, and they're too busy working, and that's your problem. So no, there was no.
That's old school, Mike.
Yeah.
We certainly, confidence didn't come to many years later.
So tell us about how the young Henry survived, and then what brought you to law enforcement?
Well, we knew, seeing our neighbors and our friends, they had things. We wanted things, but we knew that, mom and dad worked hard. We weren't starving or anything, but there was nothing extra. So if we wanted it, we knew we had to work. So, you set your goal. Law enforcement, actually, I was a probation officer. And at that time, I always wanted to feel like I could help people. So I worked at the Kern County Probation Department. I was the juvenile, and then I went to adult. In fact, I was the youngest adult probation officer ever. And
that's good. I mean, that's something that I think is probably as impressive as a credential than anything.
In fact, there was 6 of us. There was a special drug unit. We were the only armed probation officers in the whole state of California.
Huh.
Parole was even armed yet.
Huh.
So we were,
You had a tough lot.
Tough crowd.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it's just, you're young.
Yeah.
And you're just going through it. And I remember clearly going to the chambers with a judge. I'm 22 years old, and I'm hammering out a deal with the defense attorney, and here's me. I'm 22 years old. I look back, and I'm thinking, 22 years old, and the judge is sitting by. We're in chambers. Well, come on, Henry, can you drop it to 6 months? I said, well, you know what? I'll give you 9 months. We'll do mine. Henry, you gotta make it look like I'm earning money. And I look back and I think, I was just a snotty-nosed kid. I was 22, and I'm out there hammering deals in shame. Then we go back out in court and act like we go through the whole thing. We already know what's gonna happen, But
hey, a little behind the scene of how it works.
That was probation. So it was tremendous experience, and your writing skills, because back then, you did a probation officer report, pre-sentence report, and say it's 22 type pages long. Mm-hmm. And we had judges, as they read it, if they saw a grammatical error, they'd call you out in open court, make you stand up.
Oh, wow.
Oh, really?
So what year was this? Period.
That was when I started probation in 1974. But by the time I was actually going to court and what have you, it was probably about 75.
Wow.
75. So I did that for a while.
You learned quickly.
You know what? Yeah, I guess I did. Yeah.
And you applied yourself. What is that, Henry? What in it? Because there again, and I know you, and I and I'd like to be able to bring this out. What was it in you that kept causing you to excel? I know you wanted stuff, but you were getting stuff along the way. But there's still this element in you that wanted to go a little deeper, go a little farther. What was that part of your DNA?
So let's go DNA. I'm not so sure if it's DNA, but this is what it is. I had a child at 19. I was married, and I got married because it was the right thing to do. I clearly remember looking over the crib and looking at my son and telling him, "You will not be a statistic." And this is my words. I'm not going to be another Mexican on welfare. Mm-hmm. I'm going to make it. I remember telling him, "Dad will make it. I'll make it. We'll have the right life." So that
was more for yourself than it was for him, though.
That was for him, because I owed him.
But I mean, the words coming from
those, the words were for me. Oh yeah, that was my drive. That was my drive.
Isn't it interesting, Henry? And we tell people, because I know your faith is in Christ now, and he's got a tremendous faith that we're going to bring out on Ministry Matters, and probably in this show on Muscle Matters. Yeah. So had you encountered faith at that point?
Well, I went to Catholic school.
Knowledge of it.
I went to Catholic school. I was always a believer. And like I said, we can get into it. There's different people in a believer than actually knowing Christ personally. Yes. Right?
Yeah.
There's a difference. So I always knew that, and
But this was something you wanted to declare, and it helped drive you on. People do need something right now, and I'm not comparing this to that, but I need to set goals for myself. Everything I do.
Well, I think everybody has a side.
Sure.
Like, well, something has to be motivating you, or else you're just going through the motions.
I could see why Henry, being 19, said this will be a motivating factor because you will depend on me. I like it. I like that.
I mean, that's and that was just because I didn't even think about that until you started asking me. What was it? That was the driving force.
How much did that stick with you through your career?
Well, once I was on track and thought I had everything.
Yeah.
That was no longer a motivating factor. Now it was just improving myself and wanting to promote. So I went to probation. After I left probation, I was one of the first police officers for the Kern County Union High School District. And of course, hated leaving probation because I loved it. But at the time, it was, well, man, I get summers off. I make more money. So I left. I was there for 2 years and I was bored out of my mind. I thought, I was too young to be doing this job.
So they called it Kern County Union High School District back then.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So now it's Kern High School District, the same district. But
yes.
Well, Henry, you may not know this about me. I work for the Kern High School District.
Kern High School District or Kern County Union High School
Kern
District?
High School District. And I was one of their first systems analysts. And I got bored in my job. Too. I only made it 3 years there because there was a lot of bureaucracy back then, and so
it hasn't gotten better.
I don't know if it has or not, but I was motivated and I needed to break out. So.
Well, but I went from testifying in court,
working deals with the judge
as an expert witness in packaging, sales, and use of narcotics and what have you. Making these arrests and what have you, doing all this, you can measure what you were doing. And then all of a sudden, I'm at the school.
What did we call that back then? We called them narcs, right?
Yeah.
The campus supervisors were the narcs.
Yes, yeah, but I'm just saying, they were the highest on the chain, and it was people that had just graduated from high school. So you came back with a little more authority.
Well, we were actually police officers.
Yes.
Peace officers. Yeah. But that was different, and that was a learning experience in the fact that when I went to high school, I never cut class. And I'll tell you the reason. Not because I was a good kid, but I was so convinced that I was so dumb that if I missed one day,
you'd be behind.
I'd be behind. That was the motivation. And everybody would be running off and drinking beer, and at that time they were taking Reds.
Oh wow!
Taking breads.
Reds.
Barbiturates.
Oh.
We were calling them Reds.
Yeah.
I'm really dating myself.
Oh, yeah.
So if anybody got it out there, you're old like me.
Well, they were called pink butterflies. And
Yeah. So
Mike,
yeah.
Close your ears.
I don't know nothing
I
about
had
this.
to learn where did kids hide when they were cut in class.
Uh-huh.
So that was a learning experience in that.
What school was this?
Arvin High.
Arvin. You told me Arvin.
Yeah, so they were going to the mountains until we were anyway. But
Really?
anyway, oh yeah, grape vineyards and what have you. I had to learn all.
My wife graduated from Arvin.
Oh yeah. Well,
1980.
oh okay. Well, I started there in '80.
Oh,
They were there at the same time.
oh, Tiffany!
Oh, were you the one coming on campus?
No, Tiffany.
Oh, that's funny.
She's a superintendent now.
Yeah.
She knows where the kids go. Cutting class.
There's nowhere to go
She knows
around
where the
there.
teachers are going. But anyway.
That's funny.
So
We're having
then-
fun.
So I went from there. Then I got worse, and that's when I went to go work for the police department, Bakersfield Police Department, and I was there a number of years. And I was always assigned what we call District 8 and District 9, which was District 8 was Baker Street and all that area, and then District 9 was Lakeview, where now it's Martin Luther King or whatever. So I was dealing with high felony arrests every day. Every day. Oh, every day. So, but I enjoyed it.
Well, you were young and adrenaline, and you were working out, and you probably enjoyed the chase once in a while.
I was a chase every day.
No,
I'm not exaggerating.
I don't doubt it.
It was two high crime areas, both high felonies. There was also some stabbing, shooting, robbing. It was constant. But it was just like, okay. I said, but I was told the sergeant, don't send me to the other side of town. People wave and stuff, and I'm thinking I'm used to having bottles chucked at me. For punishment, one time they sent me out to the west side, right? And other people, that's cool because you just drive around, people nice. And I'll never forget. I'm driving, and this lady waves, and I duck because I was expecting a bottle, but she raised her hand.
What did you do to get in trouble?
I caught a lot of bottles over there.
I bet.
But
Yes,
in saying that, there was a lot of good people there. It's just like everywhere else where you got all this crime going on. There's a lot of good people that live in those areas that want peace, they want protection, they want safety also. So, but anyway, so I was there, and then I went to state parole, and I was there for a few years, and then we opened up. I got promoted, and we were doing this community correctional facility in Shafter. So I was there, and I think, well, I'm going to be locked up. I'm going to get locked up in a real place. So then I interviewed, and I went to Wasco, and I was a correctional counselor supervisor, and then I promoted to captain and what have you. Then I came back out to paroles and finished up paroles and ran the office and retired.
I like that. Well, I've got to ask you this, because at what part, and I'd like to bring your wife in. Shelley, could you join us real quick? She said that she didn't pass the running phase the first time.
Yeah, when I was trying to get hired on.
And then there was a guy out there, and you were out there.
Well, what it was actually, it was a qualifying to take the test.
Uh-huh.
It was a physical
into it.
aspect. So if she didn't pass that, she wouldn't be able to test, and they didn't hire her for another 5 years after that.
Yeah.
So I'm just interested. So you ended up out there at the academy, and you saw Shelley, who's now your wife, and she said that you encouraged her.
So
I want to. I get
So
Shelley.
she's
Correct
gonna-
him if he's wrong.
So she goes out and starts to run. I says, "Okay, you got to do this." So she gets out and she's running, and she was chunky like a little monkey,
Yeah.
So she's going in, I never forget, gray sweats, long. Remember the old gray sweats?
Yeah.
She's out there, she's running.
Shelley, he was checking you out. Okay, we're just gonna say
So
that.
I'm looking at the time and go, oh, her turnaround, her turnaround time is way too slow. So she's cruising, I'm yelling, you're not gonna make it. And she's she didn't make it.
Yeah.
And she came in and she's beet red and stuff and hot. And they said, we'll give you, those who want to run again can do it in 5 minutes. Well, when you've already run and you gave it everything you got in the turn, I did. You're going to go out there and then run faster than what you just did. So I remember telling her, I says, okay, this is the run of your life. You're going to have to do this. Mm-hmm. So she did. You know what? I got to give it to her. I can't think of many people who could have turned around. And she took off, and she's running back. I thought she was going to explode. She was so red, trying to get air in, and she made it about 2 seconds to spare.
Well, I think that's even something you said on the show, that you felt the Holy Spirit might have helped you a little bit on that.
Oh, that was totally God.
Yeah, but it was funny because was that the first time you had met?
No, I had seen. We had met at the gym. We were
friends. Yeah.
When guys see girls, you do. I wanted to know the story. I just love it. I love stories like that, right? Because he's describing exactly what you wore. I could tell you what my wife wore the first time I saw her. So I love that stuff. Hey, we're just having a moment. So I love that stuff, Henry. And as you did that, so you finished up there at the
and she passed, and then there was some other things that happened that was out of her control, and I thought, okay, I know what's going on here. It was tough for a woman to get in.
Yeah. I know the culture, and for her to do what she did, you got to watch our show to get that. It's simply amazing.
Yeah,
it really is.
But I tell you what's amazing, and she didn't mention it on her when she was on the last podcast, but was Fitzenrider, the long runs down to Hart Park and back up that hill.
He was hardcore.
Well, 2 weeks out, she fractured her ankle jumping a fence.
Chasing somebody?
No, just doing the physical conditioning.
Okay.
Yeah, so she had fractured her ankle, and back now they would let you come back. No, then you're out at different times. So I said, if you don't run, you're done. And I remember my ankle just swollen. So she goes, well, I'm going to finish this. So she would get up every morning. She was obviously she did, and then just wrap it as tight as she could, squeeze it in her boots, and all day, and then run. Wow. And so to this day, she still suffers from that fracture.
Isn't that crazy? Because
how many people do you know will run with a fracture like that?
Well, it's funny because I know how
not many.
I know how serious Bruce was with this, because I remember my brother going through the academy, didn't have a fractured ankle but had shin splits, and he was suffering, and he would tell me about it. And so Bruce was a friend of mine, so I went up to Bruce. I went to Bruce one day.
That was a no-no.
Yes, it was. I said, Bruce, I go, man, could you take it easy on this group coming up? And he goes, no, Tom. He goes, I'm supposed to. I'm supposed to eliminate the ones that can't make it. He told me that. Yeah, and I go, well, you're doing a great job.
And shin splits hurt.
Yes, they do. So I'm just saying, I can testify for Shelley that he was not a forgiving man when it came to that kind of stuff. He was a wrestling coach up at BC and hardcore. Good man, but
yeah.
I don't even want to think about shin splints. We used to get those in football. Shin splints. Yep. Oh, it's terrible.
It is. So no, not yet. Shelley.
She wants to go.
I know she does. but what I think is so cool. So as you guys had a relationship and you were making up the ranks, what? So were you retired at that point, or were you still in?
No. At the time she got hired, we were just friends, and I had given her some advice about if you're going to go into law enforcement.
Did you take it?
Oh yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And I won't repeat what I said, but
do you still take it?
There was 3 points I gave her that you never do as a woman.
Good job, Henry.
And that was from a man's perspective, and it was real.
I'm interested. It sounds like you can't say on camera, but maybe
after.
Okay.
Well, I can say without that. But one, you don't cuss trying to be like a guy.
Okay.
2, if you're gonna date somebody, date one.
Me.
No.
I'm excited. I love you guys.
But if you date more, then it becomes an issue. If you start,
you get
dating.
around, and
a guy's a stud.
A girl's something else.
Okay. Yeah. And then I said, then the other one, don't ever cry in front of anybody.
I remember she said that on the air that she when she I forgot. Yeah, I won't say it. Watch the show.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I love it. I love it. Well, the wonderful thing I think about you both is that you both have so much quality experience working with human beings. And then you've brought it even to, which we're going to get into, both of you having in Ministry Matters.
Yeah.
Because you both are dedicated to following our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
Absolutely.
And how that matters to you and how it influences the things that you deal with human beings.
Yeah.
I love it. So Henry, finish it up. You take the last couple minutes and have anything that you would like to leave with our audience, because I love the fact that you grew up and your parents did what they had to, and they instilled in you guys some strong principles. And I love when you were in kindergarten that you saw that the way I took that is that you saw a need to excel in an area that you didn't feel comfortable in, which would be the English language, and you excelled in that at some point.
And so you were talking about what was your motivation, what have you. I remember being in 6th grade. And I never forget the teacher calling up this young girl and saying, okay, I want everybody to applaud her. She got this score on her test, and it's a tough score. Everybody, okay. So I'm looking, my score is higher. So I didn't say nothing. I didn't raise my hand, but when everybody sat down, I walked over to her and I said, I got a higher score. I just wanted her to say, oh, God, Henry, you're right. I'm sorry. Or acknowledge me. Not even sorry. Yeah. You are nobody. You are nothing.
Oh, no.
You will never be nobody. Sit down.
Ooh.
Now, did that motivate me? No, it was just kind of like life. Oh, okay. So I just sat down and, but I share that because it seems to me people are so preoccupied to look at something that they can use to explain why they're failing.
It's almost like the preconceived idea is, for her not recognizing that wasn't her fault. And
who's this not?
The teachers. Should have been her fault. She should have recognized it. That's what I'm saying. What I got from what you said is that.
No, she was being flat out racist.
Yes, she was. Yeah. There was an excuse that basically doesn't hold water. And
that's true racism.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, it's funny. And I'll say this on air. I got caught with a conversation a few weeks ago because I was challenged because of my faith beliefs as a racist. And I looked at him and I said, "So you do know my daughter's last name is Jimenez? And you do know that I am going to be having, half Hispanic, half, whatever I am, grandkids." And you can sit there and look at me and call me that after saying that? But I was Henry, I was like, I was offended. So I can imagine. I mean,
that's my point.
When people think that way, it's such a, I don't know, I want to say a word, bigoted, and I'll say it, and you could delete it. But I'm just saying, it's such a backward thinking process that that's the first thing they want to come out, and they want to hang a label on somebody.
Well, and that's my point.
And I think about you being a 6th grader. All you were doing is saying,
go home and tell mom and dad.
No. Well, and it's like you said, hey, FYI, and am I reading this wrong?
Now, I could have been easily crushed and, forget school. I ain't doing this no more. They, how they treat me, blah, blah, blah. Just kept plugging along.
And overcoming the obstacles when they're laid at your feet and just stepping over them.
Well, see, I didn't see there was no other option.
Yeah. Forward.
Not if I wanted to get something out of life.
Yes, true.
Well, were you more motivated to prove them wrong?
When that happened, no. No, it was, I remember it clearly.
Well, it's profound that you remember it all these years later.
Oh, yeah. I can tell you the name of the student. I can tell you the name of the teacher. I can tell you exactly. But did it affect me to where I was, how can I put it, emotionally damaged? No. Psychologically, no. I just remember it.
Henry, I think that's true because Mike, I've said it on the air before. I have a speech impediment, and back in the day, when I went to elementary school, Mike likes to refer to that time as prehistoric. I would fail the test, and I would be put in a special class. And I remember that because my friends would all say, "See you, Tom." And there was a word they used for it back then. It was retarded. And it took me about a month to get out because I just had a speech impediment. But I'm like you. I didn't see it as a problem. I just knew that I had to deal with it, and I would get mainstreamed again. But it took a while because it's a motor skill of my speech impediment.
Well, I used
and so it's one of those things that I don't ever remember being bummed out. My friends and I would always laugh about it.
Not bummed out, but is it affecting? You were saying where you affected your motivator, but and I'm thinking is right now as you're saying that, maybe subconsciously. So I did my basic at Fort Polk, Louisiana. And everybody, oh, you're going to Fort Ord. When your papers come in, you're going to send me to Louisiana. I didn't know. I've never left the state. All of a sudden, I'm in these old beat up World War II barracks, and they're yelling at us. We're running around. But quick story, you go. So you first go into reception. The reception centers, they keep you there 3 days. It's where they give you your all your gear. They give you your clothing. They shave your head, and then the last thing is give you a battery tests. So I never forget, we were all going there. I remember just being cold. It was February before the heat started coming in. So we started taking tests. And we, remember, forget. Bill started, if I call your name, you return to your company area. So they call out names. So we take another battery test. Same thing. Now it's almost lunch hour. And I'm sitting there thinking, oh, I'm so stupid. I can't pass the test.
You're thinking you're taking the same test over and over again?
No, I'm thinking they're looking for a test that we can pass.
Oh.
This is my and I'm thinking, oh, I'm so stupid. I can't pass the test. So you guys come back lunch hour. So now they come back lunch hour. There's just like 15 of us. And I'm going, yeah, I guess they're as dumb as I am. So now it's down to 10. Then he stands up. He goes, for your information, those of you who are here, you now qualified to become warrant officers.
Wow.
If you're willing to sign up for an additional 3 years. But I wasn't thinking.
You thought you were failing. You were succeeding.
I thought I was failing because that's my mindset.
It was almost a reverse selection.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you were passing the tests.
Oh yeah, we were the last test. I'll never forget. We had to make up a whole language. And
you made up a language?
The tests were extremely. Yeah, he had to make up. They gave you certain letters and numbers. Now make a language. Now make up a language out of these. So that was the last test. But my point is that I guess, and I think, but what you said, the impact obviously subconsciously.
Yeah,
did.
I think it did. I mean, the
subconsciously
fact that it's
it did. I'm just thinking
day.
about it right now as you said that. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. But I guarantee you, if you look back, there was multiple occasions like that people told you couldn't succeed.
Yeah.
Well, I always dreaded the test because they would wheel in, and you were a few years older than me, and I can say that, Mike. Do you remember when they had wheeled the little thing in and they'd give you put the headphones on and go beep, and you'd say, and then when you would have to speak. So I'd always get ready for that test every first of the year, and 6s and 7s would always catch me. So I'd always try to bluff them. And they're waiting for it, and I know they're waiting for it. So I'm just real slow and methodical, and I'd always, they would catch my 6 and 7 because I'm a lisper, and off I went into a special class, and my friends would go, just say it fast. I go, it's worse when they say it fast.
So I used to think, which is probably more recently I changed in how I look at it, but I used to think, well, everybody who's been successful has had something they had to overcome, and that's part of why they're successful. The part that I changed about that is, it's not that the other people didn't have something to overcome. Just the people that are successful are the ones that did overcome the obstacle. Because all of us have an obstacle.
Sure.
I love that.
It's what you do with it, right?
Yeah.
Well, Henry, thank you for being on Lunch Break. We're going to be doing Muscles Matter and Ministry Matters with Henry.
Yep.
So, and then we're going to do a Ministry Matters with Shelley. So,
Yep.
hey, there again, if you ever see this couple out on the streets, talk to them. If you ever can get involved with something they're involved at, because their church is Valley Baptist, I believe, correct?
Yeah.
2 churches now. One on the
St.
East
Augustine?
Coast, St. Augustine.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
The oldest church in America. Hey, you have a great day. Mike,
Thanks for watching.
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys. God bless.